On producthunt.com, one of the YouTuber built this beautiful application called 50 hacks for his startup. And today we are going to build similar application with our own version and we call it as a top 20 ideas. Hey there and welcome back to TubeGuruji channel. Today we are going to build this top 20 ideas application completely from the scratch. In this application, user have option to add a new idea, and once user add any new idea, he can just send it to our database. Once it send it, you will see this beautiful alert message appears on the screen and automatically after seconds it will disappear. Now inside the new section or new tab, you will see the just new added idea on the screen. Here you have option to upload this idea or you have option to download the idea. Inside the top section, the topmost idea will appear over here. The user have option to upload or download without creating an account, so they can create a new idea or add a new idea. They don't require create a new account, or same goes with this upload and download. Also, with the help of Daisy UI, we are going to add this beautiful theme option where user can change the theme of our application and they can select the theme from the bunch of options. You're gonna learn everything whatever you see inside the demo, and the demo you can access it from the link is in the description. So guys, if you still did not subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe. If you really like this video, press like button and don't forget to press a notification bell icon. Without doing any further delay, let's begin to develop this beautiful top 20 idea application completely from the scratch. In order to create a React application, we are going to use Vite. Vite is one of the best build tool in the market, and the reason that we are using Vite is because it's quite faster. Once you create the application, you will get to know how fast it is, right? It optimizes your build and it has a lot of different features. So let's go to this Vite.js .dev, which is official website of Vite, and click on get started. So if you scroll down little bit, it provide the Vite is this build tool is quite compatible with this different JavaScript framework. In order to create it, this is the command line, so copy this one and go to the folder where you want to create this project, and then at that folder open the terminal. Now here paste the command and click enter. Now say yes to proceed, and here you need to give the project name. Here I will say top 50 ideas. Then you have to select the framework, so in this case we will select the React. Then you can select the whether you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript, so we'll select the JavaScript, and boom, if you see, your application created immediately. Now let's go to your VS Code, locate the folder where you created this project, and open that folder. Now once you open this folder, right, open the terminal by going to the terminal, new terminal, and here you have to type npm install. So this will install the dependency which is added inside the package.json file. If you see, we have this dependency and some dev dependency as well. So if you do the npm install, you will see the node module folder will get added over here, as well as it will install the dependency for us. So right now it's still installing, and if you see, now this node module folder get added inside our application along with the package log.json. Now let's walk through the folder structure. So all the dependency whatever we install, right, that packages will be inside the node module folder. Obviously we are not going to touch to this folder. Then we have the public folder where we can store all our images, all assets, files and all. Then inside the source folder, that where we have the starting point of our application. If you go to this main JSX, which is the starting point to render our application. Okay, here we have the React DOM. Inside that, the app component is getting rendered. So after this app.css, we have this app.jsx file, which is the default home screen. Okay, and if you see, it has some default code. So when we run the application, you will get to know. For this app.jsx, we have this app.css file. Then we have the index.css file, which is whatever the styling we applied for the application, all the CSS we can store inside this index.css file. Then index.html, where you will see some HTML head tag. Okay, and inside here we have this div id root tag. Okay, that's where our application get rendered. Then we have package.json file, which contain the name of the application, the version, the script to run the application, along with the dependency and the dev dependency. So whenever we install any third-party libraries, it will get installed inside this package.json. And the last, we have the Vite config.js. So whatever the configuration related to Vite build, that will be will keep inside this vite.config.js file. Now let's open the terminal, and here just type npm run dev in order to run the application, and boom, without taking a time, right? And if you see, it's not even taking the second to build the application. It's build our application within 331 milliseconds, right? Now once you open this localhost port 5173, you will see our application is running on this particular port. Okay, now let me bring this side by side. And now if you observe, if I go to this app.js file, right, that's where the default page is. So you will see all the data over here. For example, if I change this one and will say subscribe to TubeGuruji and save it, you will see the change immediately. See, okay, so without refreshing the screen, you will see the change as soon as you make the changes in your file. Now obviously we don't need this anything, so I will just clean this out, and we'll just put the empty tag with the text. For example, let's say subscribe. If you did not subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe. And right now, if you see, the subscribe text is showing on the screen. Now right now currently our text is in the center, right? Because we have some style which is applied through this app.css and then index.css file. If I go to this index.css file, here you will see we have the display flex and place item to be in the center. And only thing that we will do, we'll remove that particular styling. And also, if I go to the app.css file, inside the root, we can remove the margin and the zero at, or you can keep it, it's up to you. You can remove the padding if you don't want. Okay, and I think that's all. And if I increase the size, this is how it looks for now. Now next thing we want to install is a Tailwind CSS. So if you don't know about the Tailwind CSS, so Tailwind CSS is a alternative, not alternative, but it's a build on the top of the CSS. So it's a kind of CSS framework. Okay, and it's very easy to install. So many of my video which I created, right, in most of the project I use the Tailwind CSS. So it's very easy to install. Just type on Google install Tailwind CSS for Vite. So you will find the documentation. Here are a couple of steps we need to follow in order to install the Tailwind CSS. So first thing, to create the project which we already created, let's open a terminal. So I will go here and click new terminal. And the next thing we need to do is to install the Tailwind CSS. So first thing, copy this line and paste it here and install it. After that, we need to install Tailwind CSS init command. So it will initialize the Tailwind CSS and it will create two files. One is tailwind.config.js file. Okay, and then next is postcss.config. So whatever the configuration related to Tailwind CSS will keep in this folder. So next step is to configure your template path. So simply copy this particular line of code and just replace over here. So basically you are telling to the Tailwind CSS, okay, in this particular folder and file, you have to apply the Tailwind CSS. If you are creating some other folder outside of the source folder and there you want to apply the Tailwind CSS, you have to make sure that you will define inside this content array. Okay. Next thing, we need to add this 3 line inside the index.css file. So let's go to this source folder where we have the index.css file. At the top, I will add these 3 lines. Let's save it, save this config file as well. And then you can run your application. So first stop the application which we are running before, and then I will run it again. Okay, so it's running on the same port. So let's refresh this one. Now if you see, the styling went out because we applied a new Tailwind CSS. So in order to test it, I will copy this h1 tag, which is defined by, means it's showing that text of 3XL. The font we added as bold and with the underline. So let's add that. So inside the app.jsx file, I will add this one. Let's say save. And now if I go here, you will see the change. Okay. Now if I hover on this text.3xl, it's showing that, okay, the font size is is equivalent to 30 pixel, the line height 36 pixel, and that is nothing but in Tailwind CSS is similar to text 3xl. Same thing, font bold means font weight they added, and underline means text decoration line. Okay, so these are the some of the Tailwind CSS classes. There are a lot of Tailwind CSS classes you will learn in this particular video. Now before moving forward to this particular chapter, right, there are a couple of things that we need to add. So let's go to this extension, okay, which we are adding. So this is a VS Code extension, and then search for the let me increase this size. So the first extension is the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense extension that you need to install. Okay, so this will give you the suggestion when you are writing the Tailwind CSS classes. Okay, and then another is the ES7 plus React Redux React Native snippet tool, which is important when you are writing the code. You will get to know how and when we are going to use this extension. Okay, so these two extensions, make sure to install it. So I already installed, so you also install and make sure it's there. Now once we have the Tailwind CSS and we also make sure that, okay, it's working, next thing we need to set up is the Daisy UI. In many of my projects, I use the ShadCN Tailwind CSS library. This is the alternative for the ShadCN or many other. So Daisy UI is quite easy to implement and quite interesting. It provides a lot of different themes. Okay, now if I go here in the theme section, you will find a bunch of different themes that you can select. Okay, and we can learn how can we use that particular themes inside our application. So first thing, go to the daisyui.com. I will put the link inside the description, and then go to this documentation and click install. It's very easy to install. First thing, you need to obviously install this Daisy UI through this command line. So go to your project and then inside the new terminal, just paste this command. And then next thing, inside the tailwind.config.js file, we have to add this plugin, as Daisy UI is based on Tailwind CSS. Okay, and Tailwind CSS is already installed. You have to make sure that Tailwind CSS is installed and then only install this Daisy UI. So over here, I will just add this Daisy UI plugin, and that's all. We are ready to go. Okay, now if I go to this button and if I scroll down, let's add some of the button. Let's open JSX. I will copy all of this code just to make sure that we the Daisy UI is working, right? So go to the app.jsx file. After this h1 tag, I will put all this button code. Let's go to your project and boom, see how beautifully we have the button ready. Okay, so it has all the themes and all perfect, right? So that's how, guys, you can add the Daisy UI. Now come to the part of the theme. How can we add the theme? It's quite easy, guys. Okay, so on the left hand side, you will see the section called themes. So click on that one, and whatever the theme you want to add, you can directly add inside your files. Okay, so inside the tailwind.config.js file, you can add this Daisy UI themes. So if you go to the list of themes, you will find a bunch of different themes, and that you can add in couple of seconds. Okay, so first thing, copy this all of these themes, because we'll use all of this theme. Okay, depends on our requirements. And go to the tailwind.config.js. Before the plugin, I will add all of these themes and save it. And now obviously whatever the themes you wanted, you can just add that one. Okay, so it's up to you, and you have some option as well. Now next thing that we need to do is to apply the theme, right? So in order to apply the theme, you just write data theme and, for example, the name of the theme. For example, for the demo purpose, I will copy this line of code. Okay, and then inside the app.js, over here I will paste it like this. Okay, and save it. Now if I go back to our application, you will see the theme get changed immediately, right? So cool and so easy, right? Now another way that I will show, for example, if I change to this dark, boom, it's changed to dark. And not only is changing the background or something, but it will also change the color combination of your application. Don't worry, because we're gonna go in the detail once we start developing this application, and you will learn how can we change within a click this theme and all. Okay, so guys, that's all for this particular chapter. I hope you understand how to create the React Vite application, how to run the application, how to install the Tailwind CSS, how to set up the Daisy UI, and also set up the theme for it. Okay, so we'll see you in the next video, next chapter, sorry. So I'm using this eraser application to explain my diagrams, mockups, and everything. Okay, so go ahead and try eraser.io. Now over here, if you see, we are gonna implement the header for our application first. So we're gonna keep our header short and in the middle of our screen. For this header, we'll keep it simple. On the left hand side, we're gonna add a button to add a new data. The title or the name of our website, we can call it as a top 20 ideas. And then on the right hand side, I will put my branding, for example, let's say developed by TubeGuruji kind of thing. Okay, you can put yours. We'll keep this as simple as it is. So let's go back to our application, and here I will also open the application on the right hand side. Now inside the source folder, right, let's click on this one, and here I'm going to create a new file, and we can call it as a screen, or we can call it as a maybe apps. Okay, let's better to call screens. And inside the screens, I'm going to add a new file, and I'm going to call it as a home screen. Okay, or maybe for organized purpose, right, let's create a new folder, and inside that we'll add a home screen. Okay, or we can call it as home only, because we are already inside the screen folder. And inside the app folder, I'm going to create a new component called home screen.jsx. Okay, and click enter. Now in order to add the template like this, for example, you have to write function, app, return, and everything. If you remember, we in the last chapter we installed the extension called React Native Snippet, right? Here if I type RFCE, which belong to React Functional Export Component, click enter, and boom, you will see the template is created automatically. Okay, so that's how you can add the template. Now save this one, and in order to render this home screen, first go to the app.jsx file. I will clean everything, so let's remove all of these things first. I will put just div tag for now, and here I will add the home screen component like this, and then save it. And now if you see, you will see the home screen text is showing on the screen. Okay, now let's go to the home screen, and inside this home folder, I'm going to create another folder, and we can call it as a components. Okay, and click enter. So inside the component folder, I will add a new file for the header.jsx. Okay, so all the components related to the home screen I will keep inside this component folder. And then here as well, I will add the default template, and inside the home screen, now I will just import this header component like this and save it. Now the header text is showing. Okay, so that's how you can create the component and add one component to the other component. Now obviously this home screen will be a parent for this child component called header. Now over here, let's add a button. So we'll add a button like this. Now obviously you can take a reference of the Daisy UI. Here if I go to the button, you will see how to add a button, right? It's quite simple. So if I go to this JSX, right here, you need to add a class name, and they have the class name called button. Okay, so that's how you can add the button. Obviously you can add the primary color, whatever color you want. So for example, over here I will add a button. I will give it a class name and we can call it as a button, and boom, if you see, the button is showing. Obviously we need to add some text, so here I will say plus new idea, means add new idea kind of thing, and save it. Okay, now if I want to button to be primary, so here I will just change this to primary, as simple as this, right? If you have want to secondary, you can change this to secondary. So it's up to you how you want to add. I will keep the primary. Then they also have one method called button small. Okay, so initially I will keep the button in the small, and when the screen size is medium, I will make the button to be medium. Okay, and save it. After this, I'm going to add a h2 tag. So let's add a h2 tag over here, and we'll say top 20 ideas. Now for this one, let's add a class name. We'll make font to be bold, text. Initially it will be smaller, but for the medium screen, I will make text of 2XL and save it. So if I increase the screen size, you will see the change. Okay. And the last, as I say, we'll add a div tag. And for that one, I'm going to add image source. And the image, we can get it from the this assets folder, right? So we can keep all the images inside the assets folder. If you want to keep in public, it's up to you, but for related to the application, we'll keep inside the assets folder. So here I pasted the logo.png file, okay, which is channel logo. So if in order to add it, you can give the complete path, or there is another way. Here you can import the logo, you can say from, and then you can give the path. So in this case, we'll give path to the assets folder, and we'll say logo.png. Let's save it, and then you can just refer over here saying logo. Okay, now for this logo, we'll give height and width. So add a class name, and we'll add a width of 10, height of 10, and we'll make rounded corner to be full, means we want a circular form, and boom, if you see it, now it's showing like this. If I increase the size, this is how it looks. Okay, so we are not making any change in the image. And the last, we're gonna add h2 tag. So it will say by TubeGuruji. For this, I'm gonna add a class name. We'll make font bold, text smaller, and we'll be hide this one when the screen size is small, and then when the screen size is medium or larger, we'll show it. Okay, so right now if I increase screen size, you will see the text. Now let's bring everything in one line. So for this div, I'll make class name, make it flex row. Okay, then we'll make justify between, and if I increase the size, so nothing get changed, that's fine. Now here a couple of things we need to change. First thing, let's go to the app.css file where we have this margin 0 auto. We'll remove that one. Text align, actually we don't need that one. Okay, then let's go to this index.css file where we have this display flex, and I think that's enough. Okay, and right now if you see, it's showing all over the screen. Okay, but that's fine. As I told you, right, we want everything in the middle. Okay, so inside the app.jsx file where this is our starting point. Here I'm going to add a class name. First thing, we'll make it flex column. Okay, we'll make item to be in the center, and I will give padding of 4, and when the screen size is medium, I will give padding of 10. Okay, and save it. So this is how it will look, but don't worry, again I'm gonna add one more div. where I will keep this home screen, and here I'm going to add a class name. We'll make maximum width of 2xl. Maximum width of 2xl. Then we'll make width to be full, and we'll make item to be in the center and make it flex column. Okay. Let me remove this for now. Okay, let's remove this one. Let's see how it looks. So on the screen, if I increase the screen size, this is how it looks, but still I don't think so it's in the center of the screen. And one more important thing, if I go to this app.css file, it set the maximum width of 1280. Remove that one, so it's restricting our width of the screen. And now if you see, it is in the center of the screen. Okay, then next, obviously I added this background just to check whether it's a center or not. So I will just remove that one from the app.jsx file. Okay, so don't worry about that one, it's just to test it. Now once we have all of this set, right, go to the header, and inside this div tag, let's add a class name, make it flex gap of 2. Let's make item to be in the center, and here as well we'll make item to be in the center. And if I increase the screen size, this is how it looks. Okay, now for by this TubeGuruji, what I'm going to do, let's add a br tag over here, and so that it will be look like this. Okay, and our header is about to ready, not complete. Now for this header, I'm going to add a shadow effect. So let's add a shadow. Let's add a large, then padding of 4, and when the screen size is medium, let's add padding of 10. I don't know how it looks. So if I increase the screen size, that's look weird. So actually we don't need to add this one. Okay, we'll see, we'll only keep the padding 4, and also I will add a border. Okay, and then we'll add a rounded corner large. If I increase the screen size, now that's look good to me. Okay, so this will be our simple header, obviously, and no fancy things, because we want to keep this application as simple as it is. This is for the beginners, right? That's why. Now after that, obviously we are going to add the hero section, where we have some text and option to change the theme of the application. Now in order to add the hero section, right, we're gonna add some header over here. Okay, so we can call it as some heading. Then we're gonna add the we're gonna add the subheading as well. So I will keep it over here, subheading, and then we wanna give option for a user to select the theme. Okay, so this will be a drop down to select the theme. Okay, so from the drop down, user can select theme, and depends on the selection of the theme, obviously it will get changed immediately. Now let's go back to our application, and the thing is we need to do is to create a new component inside the component folder. I will call it as a hero.jsx, add the default template, and then save it. Now inside the home screen, I'm gonna add that hero component. Okay, so if you see right now, it's showing on the screen. Now let's go to the hero.jsx file, and first thing, let's add a h2 tag. Here I will add top 25, or we'll say top 20 productive ideas for your next startup. Let's add a styling. So I will add a class name text of 3xl, font bold, and text I want to be in the center, so we'll say text center. Okay, now if you are wondering how I come with this Tailwind CSS, because I know the Tailwind CSS classes, many of them, but if you want to know, you can go to the Tailwind CSS documentation, and from there you can take a reference. Maybe in a couple of projects you will be a master in the Tailwind CSS, believe me. Okay, and whatever the Tailwind CSS project you want to learn, you can go to my channel or go to the tubeguruji.com. Now once we added this h2 tag, for this div I'm going to add a class name. We'll say item to be in the center, not item to be in the center, but we'll add margin y to 5 first. We'll make flex column, and we'll make item to be in the center. It's already there, but that's fine, and we'll add a gap of 5 as well. Now after this h2 tag, I'm going to add another h2 tag, and here I will add like your favorite ideas. Okay, write your best ideas, and you can say no account needed, because obviously we don't add any authentication kind of thing. You don't need a create account to add ideas or to like any ideas. Okay, so let's save this one, and this is the text it will look like. So for this particular text, okay, so this I'm going to wrap inside the strong tag, so it will be a little bold like this. Okay, and then for this one, I'm going to add a class name. We'll change the text secondary. Okay, so we'll change this to secondary color theme, and for this class name, I'm going to add text to be in the center, margin top 2, or we can say margin y to 3. Perfect. If I increase the screen size, so this is how beautiful looks. If you think, you can give some margin to 8, little down, let's say 10, and now I think that's good. And we have this beautiful text along with this kind of tag line. Okay, next thing we need to add is a drop down menu, right? So let's go to the Tailwind CSS and select for the select component. Okay, so maybe if I go to the data input, right here we have the select component, and if I scroll down, you will find how to use it, right? So I want with the border, so I will select this one, go to the JSX, and this is the code. So copy this line of code, and after this one, let's add one more div tag. Okay, and inside that I will put this select. Now this particular drop down we need for the selection of the theme, right? Here I will say select theme. Okay, obviously we'll change it in a moment, and here we will find the option. Okay, if I go back to our application, so this is how beautifully it looks. See, now obviously I'm going to change the border color, so we'll say border primary. Okay, so whatever the primary color we have, that border will come. See, everything will be matching, right? Now next thing, we need to add the theme color over here. So in order to add the theme color, right, let's go to the Daisy UI theme, and over here you will find the name of the theme, right? So you can copy some of them. So let me copy, not all of this, but I will copy this one up to this point. Okay, and I want to add it, so I will keep it here, and one by one I will add over here. So first is light, quite easy, then dark, and then you can add a couple of more. So for example, cupcake, bumblebee, then we have emerald, I don't know what it's called, but I will add it. Then we have corporate, we have the retro, that's very beautiful actually. And if you see some of them, right, let me remove all of this now, and if you want to add more, I will just add this option couple of times. Oh, sorry. And now you can add, for example, here is we have acid, then we have the lemonade, so let's add that one as well. I love that one. So yeah, then we have the winter, that's look good. We have sunset, I like the sunset as well, so I will add the sunset, and let's add the winter too. Okay, and save it. Now if I go back to our application, we have this beautiful list of all the themes. Now over here, obviously by default we have only one theme, right? And we can set that theme name. Right now the light theme is showing, but obviously you can change it anytime. Now the thing is, the question is, how can we change that one? Okay, so for that one, if I go to the app.jsx file where we are going to set the theme. Okay, so over here, if I go to the theme option, right, and this is the example that how you can apply the theme, right? If I go here and add it and go back to our application, you will see the theme change. If I change this, for example, let's say sunset, that's our one of the theme, and boom, it's changed. Let's say winter. See how beautifully it's changed, right? But the question is, how can we change the theme over here, right? That's the main thing, because our drop down is inside this hero component, which we keep inside the home screen, but we want to make sure that the data theme over here will get changed. So first thing, we need to define the context. Okay, so the question is, what is context? Let me define the context. So consider you have the parent component, right? And over here you have some variable which you define, correct? Now this variable you want to pass to the child. Obviously you can pass through the props, okay? You can add that one and then you can pass to the child. But let's say you have again you have another child, let's say child 2, then you have another child, let's say child 3. The question is, how can you pass this props to this particular variable to this child 3? Okay, or maybe if you want, if you pass one by one, right, and if you want to update this variable, let's say you want to update this one, okay, how can you update this from this child 3 component to parent component? And that will be a big headache. All right, so that's where the context help you. Once you define the context, right, let's say context is kind of a simple coverage, you can say, and that's call it as a provider. Okay, so you have to wrap your component inside this provider, and then once you define where it will be available to any child to access it. Okay, let's take an example and let's see the example, actual example, so you will understand better. So first thing, I'm going to go into the source folder where I'm going to create a new folder and I will call it as a context. Inside the context folder, I'm going to create a new context. We'll say theme context.jsx. Okay, usually I give the context name with the name of the context and the keyword called context. Okay, here in order to add this context, you just need to write export constant. Okay, and then you can say the name of the context, which I kept the same file name, is equal to create context. Okay, now this create context is importing from the React. Now initially I will pass the value as a null and save it. Okay, now your context is ready to use. Now in order to use the context, right, where you want to what are the components you want to add under that context, you have to add it. So in this case I want to add it throughout the application. So here I will just keep I will wrap our app.js file inside the theme. Okay, so I don't know why it's not coming. Let me go to the theme context, make sure that you imported, right, exported this one, and everything's look good. Let me go back, and now here I will add the theme context. Okay, if it's not getting added, so let's add it manually. So import theme context from and give the complete path. So in this case we have to give the context / theme context, right, and then you can add the provider over here. Also make sure to wrap this in a curly braces, and then you'll get option called provider. Inside this provider you need to provide values. Okay, so we'll call it as a theme comma set theme to set the value. Obviously we need to define this one, but before that let's wrap this all the application inside this provider like this. Okay, now if you see, our home screen is wrapped inside this provider, correct? Now we need to define these two values, theme and set theme. So let's define a constant. Let's define a state called theme set theme is equal to use state. Okay, and initially you can give whatever the value you want to give. So in this case I will give, for example, let's say winter is my default theme. Okay, and then save it. Now throughout this component, right, in any component, now theme value is the winter by default. Okay, now in order to use this context, right, what in any folder you want or any component you want to use, let's go to that component. But before that, if you see, we have this data theme here, just replace with the theme. Okay, so whatever the value we have, we just replace with the theme. If I save it and if I refresh the screen, see, is showing theme. If I change this value to dark, for example, see, it's changed to dark. Okay, so that's how you can update it. But right now we keep the theme as a winter, we pass this value, and now if I go to the hero.jsx file where we want to update this context value, here I will define the context. So in order to use that particular theme context, right, you can use the constant, then you have to make sure you will add the curly braces, they write theme, the same name which we give before, right? Here you also need to give the same name, is equal to use context, you have to write use context, and then inside that you need to provide the context name. So in this case the context name is theme context. That's all, and save it. Correct. Now here you can update the theme context. Okay, that's very easy to do it. Now for example, in order to update this one, so let me bring this class name down, and for the select, right, we have a method called onChange, right? Inside the onChange it will emit the event, and then let me console what you will get inside the event, right? So I will just console the event. So whenever I change the value, this onChange method will get trigger, right? If I go to the inspect panel, go to the console, clean it, and if I select the cupcake, right, see, you got the event. Inside this event, if I go to the target, right, and inside the target we have a property called value. Okay, so it's hard to find it, but that's fine. Okay, and inside the value you will get the selected value. Okay, and whenever I change this, see, the event get trigger. Now what you need to do, if I write event dot target dot value and save it, now you will see the actual value which we selected. So in this case, if I select the sunset, you will see the sunset. If I select the bumblebee, you will see the bumblebee, right? And now once the selected value we have ready, right, we'll set it to our theme. So here I will just add set theme, save it, and now if I change this to cupcake, for example, see, our theme also get changed. If I change this to dark, boom. If I change to sunset, now it's changed to sunset, winter. Okay, so that's how, guys, you can change your theme immediately. That's how easy it is. If I refresh it, you have option to select the theme, you can select the theme which you want, and boom. Okay, so that's how easily you can add the theme in your application. So that's all for this particular section, that we beautifully added the smallest hero section, but you understand how we can easily add a bunch of themes to your application and how we change immediately. So Daisy UI, quite easy to use it and best alternative for many of the Tailwind CSS library. Now when I click on this button called new idea, I want to navigate to the new screen where we want to give option to user to add an idea, username, and then click send. Okay, but the question is how to go it. Okay, for example, here if I click on this new idea, the route will be like /new. Okay, and right now if you see nothing yet happened, you are still on the same page, but we want to open a new page. The question is how to do it, right? And if I go to this structure where we have this app, and right now on the slash means if nothing is there, obviously we are showing the home screen, but on the click of /new we want to show the add new idea screen, right? So for that one we are going to use this React router. So React router is a very popular library for the routing inside the React application, and let's go to this reactrouter.com. I will also keep the link in the description. And then they recently launched the version 6.4. okay, and very easy to use. So let's click on the get started, and over here if I go to the tutorial where we have the command to install it, and if you see, as we already created our application, right, only thing you need to install this npm install react router DOM. So copy this one. You can also install local fork, patch, match, sorter, sort by, but I will keep this to install React router DOM. So go here inside your terminal, just install this one, just paste this, and if you see it installed. Now in order to use it, if you scroll down little bit, this is a simple example that they mentioned. Here you can create the browser router, and whatever the route you want to add, you can add it here, and then you can add the route provider. Okay, but let's go back to our application. Let's do by manually. So let's go to the app.jsx file, and before this app I'm going to define a console called router. Here I will say create browser router, and inside that I will define all my routes. So first thing, let's say path. Here in the default path I want to show the element, and inside that you need to give the component name. So in this case is home screen, right? That's our default component when the or landing page when you open the our URL, right? The second we want to give the path, and here the /new, and for that one we want to give the element. Right now we don't have the component for the new, so let's go to the screen. Inside the screen folder I will create a new component called new idea. Inside that I'm going to create a new file called new idea, or so I will say add new idea, add new screen. Okay, we say add new screen.jsx. Let's add a default template and save it. And now for the /new we'll simply add new. Okay, so hopefully let me check, add new screen. Okay, so I don't know why it's not importing, but let's import manually. So here we'll say import add new screen from, and we'll give the path. So in this case is screens that new idea /add new screen, and then save it. Okay, now one more important thing we need to do is, first thing, let's remove this home screen because we don't need anymore, because we are using router, and over here you need to provide a router provider. If you see this router provider is importing from the React router DOM, select that one, and then you have to pass the router. This router is nothing but this router which we defined, right? That router you need to pass, and then in the tag, and then save it. And if I go back right now, if you see for the new we have the add new screen. If I go to the home screen you will see our landing page, but if I go to the new you will see add new screen. Boom. So this is how you can add the routing inside your React application. This is the simplest example, and with the latest version of the React router DOM, it's very easy to manage your router in a separate code block. Okay, here you can define the child route as well. You can define /new, then you can add /new idea, and then that's how the route will get created automatically. If you want to learn more about the routing, some more advanced, let me know in the comment section. So in the next video and next project I will come up with the some more advanced implementation of the React router DOM. Okay, so I hope you understand it. Now once user click on this add new button, as we already learn how we navigate it, right? Now on the add new ideas screen, right, we want to show the header. So obviously we're gonna use the existing component in order to add it in our this particular screen. Then we want to show the back button. So once user click on that back button, it will again navigate to the home screen. Here we want to give the text area option, the username option, and now this username only required when user is adding for first time. Once add the username, obviously we're gonna store that username in a browser local storage, so next time your user don't need to add the username again. And then we're gonna add the send button. So this, after clicking on this send, we're gonna store all our data inside the database. But before that, let's build this beautiful UI. So let's go back to our application, and inside the add new screen, so let's go to the add new screen. Over here I'm going to add the header. So header like this, save it, and if you see it came as it is. So you don't need to write again new code for it. So that's the reason you need to divide your application into smaller component so that you can reuse it. Next thing we need to add is the we'll add a text. Okay, so I will add a h2 tag. But before that, let's add a button for a back. Okay, so user click on back, it will go to the previous screen. So here we'll say button, we'll add back, and inside that one I want to add a class name. We'll say button and margin top to 7. Let's save this one, and if you see, we have this beautiful button to go to the previous screen. Next, after this button, I'm going to add h2 tag, and here we'll say free, not for, it's to be from concept to creation. Okay, this is just a tagline empowering your startup journey. Now for this h2 tag, I'm going to add a class name. We'll say font bold text to Excel, and then we'll say margin top to 5. Okay, now if I increase the size, this is how it looks. Next thing, after this one, I'm going to add a div. Okay, and inside this div we'll add a label, and it will say your idea, where we want to give option to add a user to add an input. We'll say star, and then we need to add the text area. So if I go to the Daisy UI component, they also provide the text area component. So if I go to this data input and text area, right here you have the text area. See, okay, so copy any of the text area which you like. So I will copy this one, and then I will paste it here. Okay, and if I save this, this is how it looks. Obviously we need to give some styling, so add a class name. We'll give flex column, margin top to 7, and then gap of 2. And for this text area, right, I want to give the border color, so I will add a border of primary. Perfect. And if I increase the screen size, this is how it beautiful looks. Obviously it has an option to expand it as well. After this, we want to add the user input. So for that one, I'm going to copy same div, I'll paste it here. Only thing here we'll say your username, and then in the span tag, because here I want to add a one message, and here we'll say no account needed, no account needed. Okay, so for this span tag, I'm going to add a class name, make it flex, item to be in the center, gap of 2. We don't need this flex, but I will tell you why I added. And then for this label, I think we need to add it. So add a class name, make it flex, and justify between. Okay, so it will be on the right hand side. For this one, I will make text smaller. Perfect. And here we want to add a username. Obviously we don't want the text area, so I will remove the text area, and we want to add the input. So if I go over here, we have the component called input, not this one, sorry, the text input, right? So we'll copy the text input, this one. So we'll just use that one. Here obviously I'm going to add a border primary, and we'll say width to be full. Perfect. And you can add the placeholder. Here we'll add username, and for here write your idea. Okay, this is just a placeholder. And the last but not least, we need to add a button. So we'll add a button, and here we'll say send, class name I will give button, we'll say width to be full, and button will be a primary button, and we'll give margin top to 7. Okay, if I increase the screen size, so this is how it looks. If I go back, okay, we would want to go to the back, it means previous screen. Also this, for this back button, we want to add icons, right? So in order to add icons inside your application, we are going to use library called Lucid. Okay, so Lucid if I go to the lucid.day, here you will find a beautiful icons library. and it's very rich. Okay, if you install the ShatCN, if you use ShatCN, then you will much familiar with this one. Now in order to install this Lucid library, right here, obviously we are using React, so make sure to install for the React, otherwise it will not use. Okay, it will not work inside the React application. So this is the command line in order to install it. Open a terminal and paste it here. Okay, now for the back button, let's say over here I'm going to add Chevron left something, yeah, this icon. Okay, and this is how easily you can add it. Let's save this one. If I go back, you will see the icon get added. Now the thing is, if I go to the icons library, right, you will see the bunch of icon, and if I hover on this one, you will see the name. That name, with that name you can write the, you can add the component tag, and that's all. Make sure to is imported as well, and then you can ready to use that icon. Now for the send, for example, in the send, right, we want to add the send icon, right? So here you can just write send, okay, and end the tag, and boom, see, obviously you can give class name, some height of 4, width of 4, and it act as a text only. And if you see, we have this beautiful send button now. Then we have the username, then we have the text area, and this particular text as well. So this is the simple way that we added the screen where you can, user can add a new idea. As simple as that. We don't want anything special. One more thing, I want to add an icon here. For example, if I type something like informative, right, so this icon I want to add called info. So that's how you can search the icon and use it. So for the over here, I want to add that icon, and I've got info, and save it. And if I go back here, if you see, we have that icon. Make sure it's flex item center. Make sure we change this height 4, width 4. Perfect. Okay, so guys, until this point, if you have any question, let me know in the comment section. Now in the next video, we are gonna set up our backend so that whatever the user enters as idea or username, and one user click on send, we're gonna store inside our database. And for that one, we are going to use a PostgreSql database along with the Drizzle ORM, and everything will be free, don't worry. So we'll see you in the next video. In this chapter, we are going to set up our backend, but let's talk what and which technology we are using for our backend. Previously, what we used to do, consider we have app, and in order to make a database request, right, we are using directly a query to make a database call. Obviously, for backend, we used to work on Node.js or some other API to build and REST API, and then we used to call it. But right now, if you see, we are adding a Drizzle ORM in between it. Okay, so ORM is nothing but the object relational mapping. It's a kind of design pattern, and basically what is do, it has their own kind of SDK where you can use it for to fetch data or to make a CRUD operation. You will see in this particular video. So basically, once we want to make a request to the PostgreSql, it will go through the Drizzle, and Drizzle can convert that particular request into a proper known query, and then it make the call to the SQL. Okay, we don't care about how they are fetching. Okay, we just need to send the request to the Drizzle ORM, and Drizzle will return you the response. Okay, so obviously Drizzle will then send a request to PostgreSql database. It will return data, and then Drizzle will return data to us. Okay, if you sound this little confusing, don't worry, because we will go step by step. So for that one, let's go to this Drizzle ORM. Just if you type Drizzle ORM, you will find this official website, and it basically provide a it's a TypeScript ORM, by the way. And obviously for the Drizzle ORM, it supports the MySQL database, then it supports PostgreSql as well as SQLite. So first thing, let's go to the documentation, and this is the official documentation of the Drizzle ORM. Now in order to install it, let's go to the Drizzle kit. As I say that they have their own SDK, so this is the command line in order to install the Drizzle kit. So copy this command, go to your terminal inside VS Code and paste the command. So it will install the Drizzle kit for you. So once it installed, let's go back again here. If you scroll down, so these are the migration file, the way that created. Okay, don't worry, because we don't need this anything. Okay, I'm gonna tell you moment how to use it and add it. Okay, now another thing, if you see, we need to add this drizzle config.js or config.json. In this, I think a particular because we are building React with application, we need a drizzle config JSON file. So copy this content, and then inside our root directory we need to create this file. So let's go here, and inside the root directory we'll create this file called drizzle.config.json. okay, and paste your content. So make sure the spelling is correct. So this, in this way, just spell this, I think drizzle. Okay, oh sorry, this need to be like this, and then make sure to paste this content. Then if you scroll down, if you use MySQL, you can use MySQL. If you use Postgres, you have to write PG. okay, so obviously in order, when we want to run this one, right, what we will do, we will simply add a command inside the package.json file. So under the script, we're gonna add 2 more script. okay, so it will help us to run the application. So here we'll simply say db push. okay, so this db push command will help us to make a database update. Whenever we make a schema change, you will get to know how to do it. So we say drizzle kit space push, and as we are using PostgreSql, so PG. okay, and another is for the studio. So Drizzle also provide their own studio where you can manage your data. So that also we will learn how to do it. So here we'll say Drizzle kit space studio. okay, in order to run the studio, save this one, and I think we are good for now. okay, so we set up the Drizzle kit. The next thing, if I go to the documentation, and if you scroll down here, you will see the option to set up the PostgreSql. Now in order to set up a PostgreSql, right, you have some of the services which is already there. okay, or if you don't want to use PostgreSql, you can go with the MySQL as well. Now for this example, we are going to use a Neon service. okay, Neon is a third-party service which provides a PostgreSql free to use it, but you have the other service as well, like Xdata and other Supabase as well. If you have your own PostgreSql, then go for this HTTP proxy, but for now we'll select the Neon. Now for that one, first thing, you need to install this Neon database serverless SDK. So let's install that one as well. Next, we need to, obviously we already installed Drizzle kit, right? I will just make sure, yeah, we already installed Drizzle kit, so we don't need to worry about that one. Now we need to create one file, and here in that file we need to add this particular line of code. okay, so right now if you see, we got one error. It's saying it's not installing, and it's saying that could not resolve the dependency, and it's not compatible because we use the Vite, right, and it's saying the 18.3.1 something is not compatible. Let's see the React, right? So right now if you see, we have the React 18.2.0, and for this Drizzle to work, right, means the SQL server to work, we need a React 18.3.1. so here I will just update this one. So here also okay, so it's saying that it's only support to this particular version for now, and then save this one. And then what you need to do, obviously you updated this JSON file, then you have to do npm install. okay, so it will update your new files and then install your Neon database, and if you see, now it's installed. As I say, copy this content and then let's go back to the root directory. So this is our root directory, right? Inside this root directory, I'm going to create a new file, and I will say a conf, or we'll say just utils. Okay, inside the utils, I'm going to create a new file called index.jsx, or just say index.js, and then paste the content over here. Now inside this one, I'm going to create, we'll say export. We don't need this line of code actually, just here you will say export, so that we use this configs in throughout the application. Obviously we don't have the URL yet. Okay, so let's remove this one, and here we need to replace the URL, so we'll replace in a moment, but for now we are good over here. And now the thing is, we need to go to the neon.tech. Okay, so let's go to the neon.tech in order to get PostgreSql connection string, right? So if you don't have an account, so I will suggest to create a new account. It's completely free, but obviously you can go for the premium version if you want. Now select the project. If you don't have a project, create a new project. And inside the database, if you see, we have the tables option or database option as well, right? Here you have option to create a new database. So we'll create a new database, and let's give the database name. We'll say 20 top 20 ideas. Okay, and account owner should be as it is. Let's create database, and if you see, the new database is created. So cool, right? Now again, go to the dashboard. Here if you see, we have the connection details section. Make sure to select the database. Currently we want top 20 ideas database, and then here you will see the connection string, right? So copy this connection string and then directly use it here. Okay, now obviously you can keep this connection string inside your .env file, but right now I will keep as it is. And then let me close all of this tab. Once you do this one, go to the drizzle.config.json file, and inside this JSON file we are gonna add a couple of more variable. For example, here we gonna add a driver. So it's nothing but the which database we are using. So in this case we'll write PG, means stand for PostgreSql. Then we want to add a database credentials. Okay, and then here we'll add connection string. Okay, make sure the name of this field is correct, and then paste the URL which you copied. Okay, and then save this one as well. Next thing, if I go over here, is we need to create a schema. Okay, so if I go to this manage schema overview, okay, this is simple example that you can create the schema. Don't worry, we will do one by one. So inside the utils folders, again I'm going to create a new file, and you can call it as a schema.jsx. I will say js only. And then over in this file actually we need to write export constant. We give the schema name, so in this case we'll say ideas. Okay, so this is our schema's name, is equal to pg table. So this pg table is importing from this Drizzle ORM pg core. Here we need to define the table name, which will be inside your database, right? So we can call it as a ideas, and then you need to provide the column name. So this schema will help us to manage our what do you say? It help us to manage our when we write the queries, okay, through the Drizzle ORM. So that's the reason it's a TypeScript based. It's called a TypeScript based ORM. Now once you provide the ID, here we'll say okay serial. Okay, so make sure you are importing from the PG core. Then you need to provide the column name, which is ID, and then you can say okay, this is the primary key. Then second is content. Content is nothing but the user's idea, so we call it as a content. It is of type varchar, and then inside that we need to provide the column name, which is called content again, and make sure it's not null. So we can say not null. Then we want username, who added this one, so varchar again. Here we'll say username, and this one also not null. Okay, Then we have to say created. Okay, also we need to add oath count. Here we'll say integer, okay, because this oath is a number, and we'll say oath, and then we'll say default to 0. Okay, so you can also provide the default value, and the last is created at. So for the created at, we need to write varchar, and here we'll say created at. This is for to store when is this particular idea is get created, right? So that date we can add it. So here we'll say not null. Okay, and that's all. Now our schema is ready, and save it. Now once you your schema is ready inside the index.js file, inside the Drizzle, right here you need to provide the schema like this, and also inside your drizzle.config.json file, here you need to provide the schema. Okay, so just locate the schema. So in this case is utils slash schema .js file. Oh, I don't think so we need to provide, so schema only. And I think here we need to import star as schema from, and then schema. Perfect. Okay, so make sure to update the schema inside your config.json file, also inside your db config, and save it. Now the last important thing is to update your database. So I will clear here, and here we'll say now npm run db and push. So as we already added this script, right? And if I enter is, if you see, it's nothing but the drizzle kit push pg, correct? So this is how it works. Right now it's saying no schema file found for a path schema. So okay, so did we spell, oh sorry, it's need to be a js. Okay, now let's test this again, and boom, if you see, it's saying the changes applied. Okay, it means our changes is live. Now if I go to this neon database and under the tables, right here, obviously I will select the our newly created database called top 20 ideas, and inside that you will see a new table called ideas, and inside that you will see all the column which we added in the inside the schema. And with the help of this command called npm run db push, it will apply that change. Now if you want to see the Drizzle studio, right, you just need to write npm run db studio. Okay, and boom. So okay, so it's saying that please install a required package called pg. So just import this package called pg. So I write npm I, so it's a dev dependency, so -d and pg. So it will install the Postgres package and then run the studio, and boom, if you see, our studio is up and running on this particular URL. So I will open this URL, and here this is the studio. If you see on the left hand side, you will see the table name which you created, and under that right now we don't have data, but here you have option to add a record as well. Okay, right now we don't have any record. Here you can also run your query. Okay, you can see the schema, whatever schema you added inside that schema.js file, and you have option to run through the SQL query as well. Okay, so that's how guys you can set up your backend of your application. If you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section, because in the next section you will learn how to use it Drizzle ORM in order to add a data inside your database. Now it's time to save our idea along with the username, and when user click send, we have to make sure it will store inside our PostgreSql database. So let's go back to our application, and let's go to the source where we added the new idea screen. And over here we will define two state, one to hold for the idea and another for to hold the username. So here we'll say idea comma set idea is equal to use state, and another is to hold the username, set user is equal to use state. Okay, now inside the inputs where we define that one is the text area. So over here I will add on change method. Here we have the event, event, and we'll set the idea using event dot target dot value, and same thing I'm going to do, but in this case I will set the username. So we'll say set username, okay, and save it. Now we'll define one method called constant. We'll say on save handler, and in this method we're gonna write a logic to save data. Okay, now this on save handler we need to connect to this send method, so send button. So this is our button, we'll just connect it up, and we'll call this method. Now we will disable this method, we'll disable this button if the idea or username is not there. Okay, so we'll not there, so we'll add a exclamation mark operation. Let's save this one, and if you see it's disabled. If you add a idea and username, okay, so we want and operation. Okay, if I refresh this one, now if you see, if I have idea, now username, and then only it enable this button. Perfect. Let me bring this side by side. Next thing, inside the on save handler we will write if we will just write constant result is equal to await. So we'll make this method as a async, and here we'll say db. Now this db we need to import it from the utils folder. Okay, so inside the utils we have this index.js file where we have this db, right? So let's make sure to add that one, so it's not getting, oh yeah, if you see we have the db which is importing from the utils folder dot. Then here we need to add insert operation because we want to insert the record. You need to provide the table name, so in this case we'll say ideas and not in the question mark ideas, right? So because we are using schema to write our query. Then we need to provide the values, and inside the value, whatever the value you want to add, you can provide. So first thing, content, which is nothing but the idea. Then second, we have the username, which is again username. Then next we want to add created at. So for that one we need to add a date, right? So date we want to add in specific format. So for that one I'm going to use one library called moment. So just import that library using npm I moment. So this is very powerful library. It very easy to use. First, if you want to add the current date, just write current moment like this, and then you can format according to your need. So in this case I want to format like dd, mmm, and yyyy. So this is inside the string format. Okay, so it will add the date, then months, and then year. So year in the form of 4. Okay, so this will write like this, for example 24 October 2024, some kind of thing. Okay, so that's in that format it will write or current whatever date. And I think that's all, because oat we already adding by default value as a 0, so we don't need to add manually. And then once we add this one, you can return some data. So here you can, for example, say you want to return id, which is the inserted id, so you can use ideas.id. Okay, so inserted id will return to this result. Now here you can write a condition. If you have the result, then you can set the local storage value. So here we'll say local storage dot set item, and we will store the username. Okay, the reason that we want to store username, because if user come next time and want to add a new idea, then we will fetch their username from that one. Okay, you don't need to add or give this option to add a username. Only first time you can give option to add the username for the user. Now we have the local storage dot set item dot username. Once it set it, then obviously we want to show some kind of pop-up dialog. It's saying that okay, the data is inserted, but first we'll test this out whether our insert operation is working or not. But here I will say console.log, and here we'll say saved data. Okay, we'll say insert data. So let's test this out. So let's go to the inspect panel, go to the console, and we'll observe the console as well. So here we'll say test my idea. Here you say username, for example, TubeGuruji, and click send. Okay, so right now if you see, we have the error called type error, failed to execute set item on a storage, 2 arguments but only 1 present. Okay, so this is the different, this is came because of this one, right? We set the item but we did not set the value, so here we need to set the value as well. Okay, but that's fine. But our operation is working. Let's go to the Drizzle studio, refresh the data, and if you see, we have the idea. Okay, just now what we added, everything is there along with the content, username, obviously by default vote value is 0, and the created ad. Okay, now as our insert is working fine, so let's go to this schema in order to show some kind of alert message that okay, your idea is inserted. So if I go to the alert, here you will see a different types of alerts. Okay, so you can copy the one which you want. So let's copy this one, and obviously I will use this alert message about the back button. So maybe you will use after the header, and here I will obviously add margin top to 5. For the text, I'm going to change the text color, so class name is text white. Okay, and save it. Now whenever data is inserted, we have to make sure this particular alert will display. Okay, let's save this one and let me show you how it looks on the screen now. So right now if I close this one, so this is how message will look like. Okay, so this is success. I don't know why it's showing. Okay, let me increase size. So on the smaller screen or larger screen, this is how it looks. On smaller, this is how it looks. Okay, don't add the text white, make it success like this. Perfect. Okay, now next thing, we need to add one state which will hold which will tell our application whether you want to show this particular alert message or not. So we'll say show alert comma set show alert is equal to use state. Okay, and initially it will be a false. Now over here we'll add if show alert is true, and then only show this particular message. Okay, let's save this one. Now right now if you see, it's not showing, but whenever we have the data inserted, so here we'll set the show alert as a true, but we'll set the timeout. Okay, this timeout will help us to remove the alert after certain seconds. So here we'll pass, for example, 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds we'll set the show alert as a false. Okay, as simple as that. Let's show this one, and for this alert I want to add a shadow large. Okay, I think everything looks good. Also we have to make sure the username is showing, and one more important thing, obviously if username is already there, we need to know whether that username we are storing or not and everything, but we will see in a moment. For now let's test that alert functionality. So here we add another new idea. I will add the username one, something like TubeGuruji again, and click send, and boom, it's saying obviously the message we will change it, but after 5 seconds it will disappear. Perfect, right? Along with that we have to make sure that we will clean this out. So this particular value we need to remove as soon as user send the data. Okay, so for that one, first we'll change the message. So here we'll say congratulations your new idea added successfully. Okay, and then as I told you, as soon as you say send it, we have to add the value for the input as a username This is the default value we need to add. Okay, and here as well we will add the default value, means just provide the value as a idea. So inside this result we'll set the username as a empty, and here set the idea as a empty. Perfect. Let's save this one. Even though if you did not set username empty, that's fine. Now as I told you, right, we are storing the username in our local storage, right? But next time we need to bring that username to the front. So here I'm define one state, will hold value existing user comma set existing user is equal to use state and initially make it false. Now we'll define the use effect. Inside this use effect we'll check if local storage dot get item has a username. Okay, if yes, then we set the username as a local storage dot get item username. That's all. Okay, and obviously we'll set the existing user as a true value. Okay, so that's how we can set. Now if I go here and inside this username section we'll set if existing user is there, obviously we'll add the and operator, then only show the username box, or if existing user is not there. Okay, so if existing user is not there, it means it's a new user, then show this username section. Right now if you see I am the existing user, that's why it's not showing. But right now if I add new idea, click send, and boom, it's saying that message, showing the alert. Also our text box also get clean. Okay, and if I check the database, let me refresh this one, you will see all the ideas. Perfect, it working fine. Now on the click of back button, right now we forgot to implement this functionality, so let's add that one. So for the back button, right, we need to use the routing hooks. So let's go here, and at the top we'll use constant navigation is equal to use navigate. I think navigate only. Okay, so if you see, this is importing from the React router DOM, and then if I go to the button here, I will add an on click method, and simply I will say navigation and to the home page. Let's save this one. As simple as that. Now if I click back button, see it's jumping here. If I click new idea, oh, we forgot to add a navigation to the new idea. Okay, this button, so let's implement that one. So that is inside the header, so we have the button, correct? So here also we'll add the constant navigation is equal to use navigate, and for this button we will add on click method to navigation, and then we'll say slash new. Okay, now if I go click over here, see, boom, if I go back, perfect. Okay, so that's how guys you gonna save your data inside your Drizzle, inside your PostgreSql through the Drizzle ORM. I hope you understand, and obviously you can add more functionality into this one. If you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. Next, I'm going to add some more ideas inside our database so that we can display it on this screen. Okay, and if you see, depends on the color combination and change, all our theme get updated immediately, and that's beautiful, right? So guys, we'll see you in the next video section. Now once user add the data or add a new idea in our database, right, on the home screen we want to display the list of all the ideas. So for that one we gonna use a tabs structure. Okay, so we're gonna add 3 tabs. One is to hard tab, new tab, and the top tab. Okay, so it will show all the latest one. Then not latest one, but the depends on the ranking. The new will display all the latest added ideas, and the top will display all the highest rank to the first, right? So that kind of filter we can apply, and then obviously we will fetch the data through the Drizzle ORM. So let's go back to our application, and inside here let me close all of this tab first, and let's go to the screens inside the home screen, right, where we want to fetch the list of all the ideas. So here I will write a constant. Here we will say get all ideas, and inside this method we will get the ideas. But before that, let's implement the tab. So under the component folder, I will create a new folder called tab.jsx. Inside that, add a default template, and then add these tabs after this hero section. Let me open this side by side. Now let's go to the Daisy UI, and here we have option called tabs. So let me open it in new screen. So I am already in the tab component, where you will see the different type of tabs. Okay, so you can select the one which you want. I will select the simple one, which is the bordered one. So go to the JSX file. I don't know what's the issue. Yeah, so go to the JSX, copy this line of code, and then inside the tab component we'll add that one like this and save it. Now inside here, if you see, we have the 3 tabs right now. Tab 2 is active because if you see, it applied the class called tab active, that's why it's active tab, but we will change it, depends on the selection. Now for this tab we will modify little bit. So first thing, for each of tab we'll change to larger, we'll make the font bold, and then we want to add the icon as well. So before this tab 1, I already copy paste these emojis, so I will add that one. Tab 2, I will add this one, and for tab 3 is for ranking, like this. Okay, so we don't need this. I will clean this out, and then I think everything's look good. So only thing that obviously we'll update this class name everywhere like this. Okay, and save it. Now if you see, we have tab 1, tab 2, and the tab 3. Perfect. Now on the selection of this tab, we need to save the state which one is selected, and depends on that one we need to update it. Obviously first thing, we'll change the tab name. So here we'll say hot, then here we'll say new, and for tab 3 we'll add top and save it. Perfect. Next, let's hold the active tab value. So we'll say constant active tab comma set active tab is equal to use state, and initially we'll set as a 0. Now let me bring this down. Now over here we'll add hrefs for each of this a tag, and we'll say slash hot like this. Okay, same over here, we'll add a hrefs slash, we'll add a new, and for this one hrefs we'll add slash top hash top. Okay, so what will actually happen if I click on this one? Let me increase the size. If I click on any of this one, right, you will see the value get changed immediately inside the URL. Okay, and it called the hash params. Okay, so that's very easy when you want to fetch data. Okay, so depends on this value, we can easily fetch the data as well. Now in order to get that hash value, right, here simply we can use constant params is equal to use location, and if you see, this use location is importing from the React router DOM. Okay, and inside the use effect here, for active tab I will remove this 0. Okay, and over here whenever the parameters value is available, so here we'll set the active tab as a params dot hash value. Okay, so inside the hash we'll get only this hash value. For example, in this case is hash hot, and then we will dynamically apply styling. So let's wrap inside this curly braces, then this tag, remove this double quote, and inside that we'll add the condition using this dollar sign. Okay, and here we'll say active tab. Let me bring this back. Active tab is matches with the current value. For example, in this case, hash hot. Okay, then we can add a condition like active tab active. Let's say tab active and save it. Okay, so right now if I on the hot, right, so let me refresh the screen. Still it's not working. So let's see what's whether we are getting the correct value or not from here. So we'll say console.log params.hash. So let's go to the inspect panel, go to the console, and if I click new, we got new. If I click hash hot, we got the hash hot. That's working fine. So that's value we set, right? Active tab which has the hash hot, and then we are activating the tab. So somehow this value is not getting updated because obviously you are setting the state and that state is not reflecting over here immediately. Okay, so another way that you can do is by providing on click method to this one, and then set the tab active tab, for example let's say 0. Okay, and then here we can just compare with the value 0. Let's save it and let's say hot. See, okay, so that's how you can do. So let me put this everywhere else. So actually we want to put all of these things. So over here like this, and over here like this. Let me format this document, and here will be a 1, here will be a 2, active tab 1, active tab 2, save it. And now if I click hot, new or top, see it's coming. And then I will remove this line of code because we don't want this use effect. Obviously this parameter for now we don't need it. And then let me refresh this here, and now if you see we have the proper information. So I hope you understand how we easily implemented these tabs. Next we want to display the list, right? So as we have this we know which one user selected, right? So and depends on that one we will get this parameters value. So here we can say constant params is equal to use location, and using parameter hash we can fetch the value, right? So but before that let's fetch all the ideas. So over here we'll say constant result is equal to await, make this as a async, and here we'll say db. So make sure to import this db. I don't know why it's not importing. Sometimes it's give you the suggestion, sometimes not. So let's import db from utils/index, and then we'll use db dot select. Then from here we need to give the table name. So in this case table name is ideas, which is getting from the schema. See, make sure to import the schema. Then here that's all we need it for now, and only thing that we will do is to provide the limit. So here we'll add a limit of 20. Let's add 20 only. Okay, and then save it. Now I will just console it here. So we'll say console.log result, and then this get all ideas we need to call. So inside the use effect we will call this method call. Obviously we want to call only once, so like this, and save it. Now if I go back to our application and check inside the console just to make sure that we are getting the data from our database. Okay, and if you see inside the array we have all the data. Perfect, right? So that's what we wanted. Now if I go back to this one, right, we have the idea. But now as we know that we have from the parameter we need to fetch the latest one or new one, right? So here we can add a condition where, so dot where, and we can write not where, but we want to order it. So we have the order by clause, and we will order by descending order. Okay, and make sure to import it from the Drizzle ORM. Then we'll add a params dot hash if it matches with, for example, let's say hot. Then we'll order by with the help of vote, otherwise we'll order it by ideas dot id. Okay, and here I will add one more condition, or top. Okay, so instead of making this couple of times call, right, here only we add the condition in the descending order and we write it. Okay, so it's up to you. This is, I feel, little easy, so I write in this way. Okay, let's save it and make sure that we have the proper data. So let me see, and if you see, we have this all the list. Perfect. Now let me clean this out. If I select the hot or select the new, right, nothing get changed, right? If we are not getting the updated data. So for that one, what we need to do, we need to execute this use effect whenever we have this params value. Okay, now if I save this one, if I click hot, see, it's executing. If I click top, still we are getting the latest data. So that's how you need to fetch the information. Now once we have the result, we need to store in one state. We'll say constant, we'll say idea list comma set idea list is equal to use state, and then over here we'll set the value. So set idea list using the result. Perfect. Now obviously we need to create a new component. To that component we'll pass this list. So we'll create a new component called idea list.jsx, add the default template, and here we'll accept the idea list, and to the home screen we'll add that component called idea list, and here we'll pass idea list as an idea list. Okay, and save it. Now over here we need to iterate that value one by one. Obviously we are limiting to a 20, so we don't need to add any pagination right now. So just iterate that using idea list dot map. Here we'll say idea comma index and the arrow function. Now instead of coding here, I will create another component which can hold the item. So here we'll say idea item dot jsx, and here I will import that idea item like this, and we'll pass the idea information. So all the one by one idea we will pass to this idea item. We'll make key as an index, and here we'll accept it as an idea and save it. Now let's code it here. So first thing we need to do is let's add a div. Inside this div we'll add a h2 tag, and we'll say idea dot content and save it. Now if I go back to our application, you will see all the idea, but it's not properly showing, right? Let me bring this side by side. Now for this one, let's add a class name. We'll add a padding of 5, then we'll add a border, we'll add a shadow large, we'll make rounded large. Let me bring this down. For this one we'll add a class name padding y to, not padding but margin, we'll add a margin y to 4, we add a 5. Perfect. And now we have this beautiful list. See, okay. Now on the right hand side we need to give option to like or to vote this. Okay, if user like it, user will upvote this one, After that we need to show count and then to dislike that particular vote. So to do that, we'll add a one div. Inside that we need to add a h2 tag, and here first I will add this fire icon. It means upvote. Then the count. So here I will add idea dot vote, and the last we need to add another h2 tag for the dislike. So this icon. Okay, each of this icon, let's say class name, text large. On hover we need to change the background gray 200. We'll make rounded, and then we'll add a padding of 1 as well. Okay, so if I hover on this one, this is how it looks. Also we'll make cursor pointer. Perfect. So same thing, all of these things we need to add it for the remaining one. And here as well I will add, but not all of these things. So remove this cursor pointer. I think everything is good. Text align will add center. Well, let's remove that text align for center for now. And for this div we'll add a flex column, an item to be in the center. And obviously we want this on the right hand side. So for this div, let's make it flex, and let's give gap of 7. Perfect. If I increase the screen size, so this is how it looks. And if you see, we have the option to like or dislike. Okay, then for each of this item I want to give the number. So to this div, here I'm gonna add a, let's say add a span tag. Inside that we need to give index number. So we need to pass the index value. So from the idea list we'll pass the index value as well, and here we'll say index plus 1, because index will start with the 0, right? So save it. If you see, we have the index value. Make sure to give dot after that and space, and here I will say class name flex gap of 2. So it will be in the one line, see, like this. For this one, let's give a padding x to 2, and here as well. Perfect. Now we have proper square, and that's how. Now if I click on the new, you will get the updated. See, the top is very different, the new is different, hot is different, correct? So that's how you can display the list of all the idea. Now obviously here you can add the who added it, means the username and all of these things. So let's add that one as well. So after this div, I'm gonna add h2 tag, and it's saying by @ and idea dot username. Okay, on, and here I'm going to use the date. So here I will say idea dot created at, and save it. Let's put this outside of this div. Perfect. Oh, okay, so let's add this border, shadow and everything to this div along with the padding as well. And we'll give margin top. So for this h2 we'll add a margin top to 4, and we'll say text of gray 400 and text small. Perfect. But it's little bit not good. Let's add this h2 tag, or let me remove this one, and we'll add it inside this one h2 tag. Okay, let's do one thing. Add a span tag space, and for this one we'll add now flex gap of 2, right? The same gap which we gave. So we give the gap 7, so same gap we will give it over here. let's say 4 5. Perfect. And now it is in the one line. See, perfect. So that's how you can add it. Obviously, if you want to add more option like to share this idea or something like that, you can add it. It's up to you, whatever the value or whatever the features you want to add it. But for now, we'll keep simple. And if you see, we have all the mode, and everywhere it look awesome. So until this point, if you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. In the next chapter, we're gonna add a functionality to like or dislike or upvote or downvote the particular idea, and that value obviously we will update it inside our database. So in this chapter, we are going to implement the users upvote and download functionality. If user want to upvote to this particular idea, he can click here, and then we're gonna save that data inside our database. So if you see in this particular flow chart, consider the user is liking the post, right? And obviously once user like the post, we will make sure to update the database, okay, and we'll add means update the value for the voting inside database. But in the same time, we have to make sure we will update that in local storage as well, okay. So inside the local storage, we have to update the post id to the upvote, and we have to remove the post id from the download. The reason is we need to maintain whether use or we need to restrict user to add a multiple vote, right? We need so that's the reason we have to store this information inside our local storage as well, because we are not creating any user account or anything like that where we can store inside our actual database, right? So that particular state we need to maintain inside our local storage only. So in the first part, we will build this particular functionality where user like the post, and will save in database. And in the second section of this chapter, we will implement this local storage functionality. So let's go back to our application, and let me get it side by side. Let me close all of this window, and then go to the idea item where we have each of the item, right? So for this h2 tag, where we have this fire button, right now, if you see, this is how it looks, right? I'm going to add on click event, and also I will make this cursor pointer, and then we already have cursor pointer, that's good. And here I will add on click method. To this on click method, I will simply add upvote handler. Now create a new method called upvote handler, okay? So constant upvote handler like this, and inside this method I will write constant result is equal to await. So let's make this as a async. Here we'll say db. So let's define that database. I don't know whether it's there or not, so let's define it here. Import db from, and give the path, it's utils / index. And then inside that we have option called update. Inside that we have to provide the database name, which is our ideas from the schema. Then we need to set the value. So in this case, we'll set the value for the vote only, okay? So for vote, obviously we need to update add the vote in the current one. So we'll make sure it's a number. Actually it's a number only, so we don't need to define, because why in database schema only we mention it as an integer. Here I will just write idea dot vote plus 1, and that's all. And here we return the value if you want. So id will be the idea, not idea, but ideas dot id, okay, something like this. And now as soon as you did the upvote handler, okay, in the result I will make sure to refresh the data, okay. So this refresh data will pass back to the parent. Again, from the parent, let's go to the item list. Here, from here, obviously you will accept it here as a refresh data. Pass this refresh data back to the parent, it means to the home screen, okay. So inside the home screen, now you have another refresh data, and on this refresh data we're gonna call to get all ideas method like this. We just call like this and save it. Okay, so basically we add the upvote and we updated it, update the record. Then just in order to make sure to get the latest data, we call this refresh data method, we pass back to the idea list, and from the idea list we pass back to the home screen. Okay, now let's refresh the screen once and let's click on this like. Okay, and boom, if you see, it's get like, but it's get like to all the one, right? The reason is we have to mention for which record you want to update. So for this set we have to add where condition, and for this we will add equal, then we'll pass ideas.id comma the idea.id. Okay, means the actual column id, means column name which we want to update, and then the value which matching with that one, right? So that that particular thing we updated. Okay, so right now obviously we updated 1, but now if I click on this one, right, see, it's updated 2 and all others are 1. Okay, just for the h2 tag I will add the font bold. Perfect. Okay, so that's how you can update. For example, for the fourth idea I want to upgrade it, so I added as a 1, and if you see, it bring back to at the top because it's more than the other, right? And in the top section we have this one. See, if I click on this one, see, it's come at the top again now, and that's how it works. See, now same thing we are going to do for the downvote. So let's do it. So let's go and define new methods called downvote, and this will be async like this. Okay, and everything I will keep as it is. Okay, only thing that instead of +1 we will do -1, and then this downvote we will call to this h2. So on click this particular method, and that's all, and save it. Okay, now if you want to download this one, if I click this one, see, it's come to 0. If I click this, it changed to 2. Okay, if I again do it, still see, it's going to the minus, and that's what we need to restrict, because I can able to like this as many times as I want, and that's not good, right? Because each user can at least only do the like or a dislike and nothing else. So that functionality now we need to implement, so that user will not able to like multiple times or dislike multiple times. Now we're gonna update our local storage as soon as user like or upvote the idea or download the idea. Okay, so for that one I'm going to create a new file inside the source folder, and I'm going to call it as a service. Inside this service folder I'm going to get an index.jsx file, and here we'll create a new method called export. Do export constant, because so that we can use it in any method, and here we'll say upvote. Okay, now inside this method obviously let's connect this method whenever user click on upvote handler. Okay, so here I'm going to check if upvote, or let's do one thing, let's implement the logic first. Okay, so first thing we will get the local storage. Okay, so here we'll get the vote, or we say vote only, and is equal to local storage dot get item, and here we'll say votes. Here we'll also say votes only, and if it's there, then obviously we will parse the information. So JSON, let me check, JSON dot parse, and we'll say local storage dot get item votes. Okay, otherwise, here we'll say otherwise we will add a empty value, means if user is first times adding his vote, right? So we'll add upvote and downvote as an empty value. Okay, that's all. Next we will check if votes dot upvote. Okay, it means if inside the votes and inside upvotes has that post information already like. So obviously for this upvote we will pass the record ID which user like it, and here we check it with the index of ID is not equal to -1. It means if that ID is already inside this array, then we'll return false. Okay, and now if you return the false over here, so we'll call the method called upvote from the service. Okay, if the method is returned true, then only we are going to call this particular logic. Otherwise we are not going to call this method. Okay, if that particular vote is already exist. Okay, if it's not, then we'll simply add votes.upvote.push and ID. We'll push that ID inside this array. Okay, but in the same time we have to make sure we will remove the item from the downvote. Okay, if it's already there, because we don't want to user to upvote as well as downvote, correct? So that's the reason. So here I will say constant downvotes is equal to votes dot downvote, add downvotes, and here we'll add filter in order to get the data which is except that particular ID. So here I will say item is not equal to ID. That's all, right? And then we have to make sure we will update the downvotes is equal to downvotes. Okay, so this value we will update it using this updated list of array. And at the last we will say local storage dot set item, and we'll say votes comma json dot stringify, because we want to convert it into a string, and then we'll pass that data. Okay, something like this. Perfect. And last we'll return true. Once we return true, and then it will execute this line of code. So that's how you can add the upvote logic. Now let's refresh the screen and then test this out. So right now let's go to the new section, and if I click this right now, if you see this particular idea has 0 likes. If I click on this one, it has a 1 like now. If I again click on this one, see, again it's showing true. It means our logic is not working. So let's go here in the console. So not okay, let's go to the application where we have the local storage, right? And inside the local storage, if you see, it's showing as a null. Okay, let me delete this one. The reason that we are getting null, because we are not passing the value. So here we'll make sure to pass the idea.id. Okay, so this information will pass the ID, because we need ID to store the data, correct? Now let's save this one, and let me close this one as well. Let me refresh it. Now right now we have 2. Okay, make sure that okay, someone other user is like it. If I click it, it's making 3. If I again click it, see, I am not able to, even though if I click multiple times, it's not working. Okay, but if I go to the local application local storage, so if I go here in application and votes, you will see the upvote which is already added, and that's the reason it's not allow us to add a new vote for the same record. Okay, now same thing we need to implement for the downvote. So let's go here and we'll create a same method, but only change here, we'll call it as a downvote. Here everything is same. Instead of upvote, we'll say downvotes. Then over here we'll push that data to the downvotes. Okay, and here obviously we have to remove the data from the upvotes. Here we'll say upvote and we'll update the upvotes.upvotes, this value now. Okay, and then we're updating our local storage, as simple as that, and save it. Now let's test this out. So if I try to like it, obviously I'm not. If I dislike it, see, it's changed to 2. But if I dislike it again, it's changing again. Okay, the reason is we did not call this downvote inside the downvote method. Okay, so here we'll say if downvote and idea.id, if it's returned true, then only execute this line of code, If it's false, then don't execute it. Let's save this one. Let's refresh my data. If I click it, so nothing is happening. If I dislike this one, nothing is happening. Okay, let's like this button and dislike it. Nothing is happening on dislike. Wow. So let's see inside our inspect panel what we are doing. So it's saying downvote is not defined in idea item 27. Okay, make sure to import the downvote from the service. Okay, let's clean this out and let's click downvote. So it's changed 0. If I try it again, it's not working, but I can able to like it now. See, okay, so perfect, it's working. Wow. So for this post I already like, but see, it's not like now. Okay, means I able to dislike. But another thing is we need to show the user who liked the post what the previous like he did it, right? So whether he liked the post or disliked the post, right? That change we need to add it. So let's do that. So simply in index.jsx file, I'm going to create a new method. So constant, and here I will say check is already like already voted. I will say voted, and here instead of voted I will say already upvoted, and here I will pass the ID. So okay, it need to be arrow function like this, and what we will do, we'll just return true or false. Okay, so we'll return and we'll check our local storage. So first let's get the data from the local storage. So let's define constant votes is equal to local storage. Here I will change this to json.parse, then local storage dot get item, and here we say votes. Okay, now inside that we'll say votes dot upvotes dot find, and here we'll say item. If okay, let me remove one more arrow, and item is equal to id. If it's there, then we'll return that value. Okay, and this method, make sure to export this one, and let's save it. Let's go to the item idea item, and over here we have this method. Okay, so inside this class name we will change this class name now because we want to add some dynamic styling. So here I will add $sign. Make sure to import this check is upvoted. We'll pass the idea.id, and if it's there, then we'll simply add a condition that background slate 200 and save it, and boom, if you see I voted this one, so it's showing like. If I try to it, see, it's not working. Okay, and I did not vote it for other. Obviously we need to implement for the downvote as well, so let's do that. For the downvote, same thing, I am going to implement. So here I will just check downvoted, and this is okay. Here I will say down votes, and that's all. And this method I'm going to call for the downvote. So for this class name, so here I will wrap it inside the curly braces, then this tag, remove this single quote, and then add your condition. So here I will simply add check is already downvoted, and we'll pass idea.id, and we'll say background slate 200 and save it. Now if you see these two I voted, and that's why it's showing like this. If I voted this one, okay, see, now it's changed. If I voted this one, if it's changed. If I dislike this one, it's changed. If I refresh the screen, the changes are still there. Okay, so that's how you can implement. Now not only, but if I go to the new or go to the top, you will see all that changes everywhere, right? And obviously you can select the beautiful themes which you want. That's also a good part. So guys, that's how you can implement the upvote and downvote functionality for your post. Okay, so guys, if you have any question and any doubt until this point, let me know in the comment section. Now, as you know that this particular application is completely responsive friendly. Okay, and if you see on the mobile view, if I go here, okay, and you can check the mobile view of your application, change the mobile type which you want, refresh the screen. Here I will change this size to maybe 75 pixels, see, and boom. Okay, you have a new idea, you can post it from here, say back, and everything is completely responsive, depend on whatever device you are using. Now our application is completely ready, and now it's time to deploy our application on the server. So before that one, if you see here, the icon is not belong to us what we need it, right? And you can change that icon. If I go to the index.html file, right, over here, let me increase the size. In the link, if you see, we have this h reference, and it's right now mentioning the vite.svg, right, and which is inside this public folder. So you can add, I already added this logo.png file for our project, and you can directly refer it using the file name. So in this case, I will say logo.png and save it. Now if I go here, you will see the change. Next, go to the github.com. If you don't have an account, we'll create a new then create a new account. So the reason that I'm using GitHub, because as soon as you commit your changes, once you deploy your application, right, and you make the changes, you push the changes, then it will automatically deploy to the Drizzle. So let's create a new repo, and here I'm going to say top 20 ideas, okay, app, and we'll make it public. We'll keep everything as it is, and then click create repo. After this, we need to set the origin. So copy this git remote add origin, and before to do it, you have to add git init. Okay, so it will initialize the git, then add the remote origin, then we'll add the git add command, and git commit will say initial commit, and then git push. Not push because you are pushing first time, right? You have to push using this origin main. So let's paste it here, and boom, it pushed to the GitHub. If I refresh the screen, you will see the code are available now. Okay, now let's go to the Drizzle. And if you don't have an account to the Drizzle, then create a new account. So whatever the web application you build, which is based on React, Next.js, you can deploy it over here. Now here, if you click add new project, and then you can connect any Git repository you want. You can connect GitHub, you can connect GitLab or Bitbucket. Okay, now if you see right now, just now we push this application, and it's showing that okay, top 20 idea. It also show which type of application is this. So it's in the case it's a Vite application, right? And click import. We'll keep this project name as it is. Okay, here I will say top 20 ideas. I will keep everything as it is. We don't have any environment variable, so I will not add anything, and then click deploy. Now it will take a few seconds or minute to deploy application, so we'll wait. And boom, our application is live. Here you will see the preview, and you can continue to dashboard. If I click on this one, right now we are getting some error that cannot read property of null upwards and everything, but don't worry, that's what we have to resolve, right? We have to check why this error is coming and all. So right now, if I go to the dashboard, right, and go to the deployment section and open this deployment, where you can check your logs. So on the top side, you will see the logs file, and I don't know whether it's there or not. So let's see. Let's go to deployment. So log is correct. We'll see the runtime logs if you have. Okay, so just now we deploy, maybe that's the reason it's not showing any log. Now to fix this error, let's go back to our index.js file, which we have all the services, right? Here you need to add this upvotes here as well, votes and question mark. Okay, because there might be a chance, because the local storage is not defined, because we are defining the local storage only if the user like the server, right? And let me go here. Okay, this is the error which we were getting, and now we are good. Let's commit the changes again. So I will add git add space, we'll say commit, we'll say bug fix. Okay, and then we'll push it. Now, interesting thing that I told you about this one, as soon as you push the changes to the GitHub, right, it will trigger the Drizzle deployment. Now, if I go to the deployment, you will see the deployment gets started just now. Okay, so it's deploying the new version of your application, and here you will see the comment as well as bug fix, and boom, it's ready. As we are using Vite, it's quite faster to build and all of these things. Okay, now let's test this out. If I click on this one, and boom, now you got all of these things ready. You have all the themes and all of the functionalities working. Now if I try to click on it, boom, you see I like this one. If I click on this one, you like it, right? If I dislike it, you have option to dislike it. Even though it's refresh it, it's still there. So guys, that's all. Obviously all the functionality will work, don't worry, as it's showing username, because we are on the actual production environment, and for the production we don't have any username added. But yeah, that's how it works. So if you have any question, any doubt, let me know in the comment section. I hope you like this complete video, and if you have any idea which you want to implement, let me know in the comment section. If you did not subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe. Share this with video with your friends and family members. Also, if you really like this video, press like button and press notification bell icon so that you will not miss any update from me. So guys, we'll see you in the next video.